Is it recyclable? Alright, we are streaming.
From the industrial wastelands of Michigan to the fruited plains of Iowa, this is the American Greed Factory.
You are the dead. Remain exactly where you are. Make no move until you are ordered.
We burn them to ashes and then burn the ashes. That's our official motto.
Now we can see you. Clasp your hands behind your heads. Stand out in the middle of the room. Stand back to back.
Who can explain the fascination of fire? What draws us to it, whether we're young or old?
Here comes a candle to light you to bed. Here comes a chopper to chop off your head.
And welcome to the American Greed Factory podcast. This is Nathan.
This is Conlon.
Andrew.
And we're back. Why do I say "and welcome"? I always do that. I just noticed it now. Why don't I just say "welcome"?
Are you using the intro as like a preceding sentence, and you're like adding to it?
I don't know.
A chopper to chop off your head, and welcome.
Welcome.
Maybe you're just programming regular users into doing stuff that you command and jerk off, like your mother.
Would you kindly?
Yeah, that could be. I don't know. I just never thought about it, but it's like, why do I always do that? But there's no answer. It's one of those mysteries of life. It's like language. It's imperfect. Flawed beings using an imperfect system. Welcome to the internet. 2019. Oh, man. So, what's new and exciting in everyone's life? I see from that response a lot.
No, this has been the week of too much wrestling, so that's what's going on.
Okay.
If you want me to go into that right now.
Let's talk about that. Jump in. Jump right off the turnbuckle.
Off the top rope.
Off the top rope, or ram some guy's crotch into it with two guys pulling him by the legs across the...
Yeah, so this is WrestleMania weekend. So when WrestleMania happens, all these shows just pop up around WrestleMania. So in the New York, New Jersey area, there's about 50 independent shows going on.
Wow.
Almost none of them are on WrestleMania day, but there's, but on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, there's like 50 shows going on.
So if you have $8,000 and a lot of free time, you can take in a lot of shows in the New York area.
I think there's one that was called like The Collective. It was like a bunch of indie shows you could get on Fight for like $100, and it was like something like 17 shows. And most of these shows are $15, so that would be like a decent deal, I guess.
And that's like, how many hours of entertainment would that be?
Oh, yeah, every show is about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
So 20 times, about 60, 80 hours of entertainment.
A lot of entertainment. That's a lot of visual, acted entertainment for $100.
So it was the first one I saw, it was on, I was like, because usually a lot of the shows were starting around Thursday and Friday. But it was like, so I picked up this one. I was like, fuck it, I'll get this one. Because Colt Cabana, he does a podcast I listen to, and he's a good wrestler. He does a lot of funny stuff. He was headlining the event, so it was called Wrestle Pro Does Funny Equal Money.
Okay.
And so he was headlining. I was like, fuck it, I'll pick it up. So it wasn't a very good show. It was in a high school gymnasium, like a pretty large one, and it was about like maybe a quarter full.
Okay. So fine.
I mean, it was a Wednesday. Who's that? And the other thing I was thinking, because this is like an intentionally being this is a comedic wrestling show, so it's a lot of things being stretched thin. Like there's like every wrestling show has like comedy bits, but this one it's like, oh, the entire thing is that, which basically means the what would you say, the class, but the quality of wrestling is going to be on the lower end. To make way for the humor.
This is like what the Harlem Globetrotters of wrestling. It's like, you know, fun, weird stuff's gonna happen, but it's all in jest. Like you can't get. I mean, it's all in jest.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna get sucked into the story.
It was a lot of people I didn't know, but weirdly, it was weirdly a good primer because a lot of people that I didn't know showed up and all. It really seemed to be like the crowd wasn't really into the matches.
Yeah, they weren't like drunk and engaged and yelling like F word.
But like it was also a 15-minute match.
Yeah, it was humor. If this had all wrapped up in 2.5 minutes, it'd be like that was pretty.
And then he like gets pulled into the tent like it's a horror movie. And then they close up the door and they just kind of rattle around on the inside. And then like he comes crawling out like they're beating me up or whatever, and they suck him back. So that was pretty funny. And then they all get back out of it. And then at some point they're on the outside of the ring, and the three other guys are fighting. And the Man Scout guy grabs the tent and he throws it over the top rope. And like it's it's a tent, so it's basically like a kite. So it slowly falls down, and like all the wrestlers are waiting, like no, and the tent hits them, and then they're like, they act like a grenade goes off.
It's like being hit with a bed.
There's also another part where he throws the tent back in the ring again, and like one of the corners of the tent like touches a guy, and he like flops around like like another explosion went off.
Oh.
So that was probably the most engaging match.
That sounds actually pretty funny.
Where the tent was the most exciting thing.
It was the best prop.
And then there was the Bird Box match.
Okay, it was blindfolded.
Yeah. So there's like a lot of good ideas here, but it wasn't pulled off very well. And I had a commentator like kind of did a way to like kind of explain what was happening, which I can't imagine like being in the crowd, just being confused the whole time because you can't hear the commentary when you're at an event. Like they're not like blasting it to you somehow, so you don't hear commentary. So I just imagine. So that's probably why the crowd wasn't into it because it was just massive confusion.
It's like, what are these guys doing?
So everybody is blindfolded in the match, just two guys, but also the referee is blindfolded.
Okay.
And so the match starts, and they're basically like feeling around and basically just doing wrestling moves in the air in hopes that it hits something. And then like the point of the match was that you have to take the blindfold off your opponent and then pin them. Which is like, at first, like, that doesn't make any sense. And then later on, the joke makes sense because the one guy pulls off the other guy's mask, and then, like, he suddenly looks like he's hypnotized, crawls to the top of the rope, and then just, like, jumps off into the middle of the ring and, like, lands on his back, and the other guy crawls over and pins him. So it's like he committed suicide. Like, that was the joke.
Oh, okay. Like in the movie.
Yeah. But, like, at some point, the commentator just, like, spells that out. It's like, oh, okay. Now I get it.
Yeah, but...
also, that's a 15-minute match with that one joke.
Huh.
And then there was a gauntlet tag team match that was way too long. And then it ended with the Colt Cabana and Santino Morello match versus... I can't remember who it was against. And then there was a run-in at the end by some guy from Impact Wrestling and Joey Ryan. He was on All In. He was the guy with the who came in and kicked Heyman Page, and then his procession of penises, his penis druids came out and dragged him away. That's Joey Ryan.
Okay.
So they did a run-in at the end. So yeah, it was WrestlePro. Does funny equal money? And the answer is no.
Yeah. Answered that question.
Because there's like a little chat window on Fight TV when you're watching it, and like people chime in. It seemed about maybe 8 people watching it. So.
Yes, I was reading that chat tonight when I was watching.
Oh man, don't. That is such a toxic. Because I think like I might have enjoyed the event more if I didn't read that chat.
Well, I went full screen after a while, but yeah, I was watching the Ring of Honor New Japan one you gave me to watch, the Madison Square Garden one tonight, and yeah, when the women were wrestling,
Yeah.
like, who are these fucking serial killers? Like, is it no one's moderating this, obviously,
No.
and so yeah, eventually I just went full screen. It's like, yeah, I don't need to breathe this goob in. This is but that's just that whole internet thing I don't understand. Like, who talks this way?
People who are anonymous. Don't
Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully, WWE doesn't have that kind of crap. They just have shitty advertisements.
Yeah.
But that's like Tracy Morgan for a Fight Club subscription or whatever, where it's like, or subscribe to this streaming service so you can see all the live stream fights.
Oh
And
yeah,
shit
yeah.
like that. He's like, I'll blow up my own house, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like,
Yeah, I don't
guess
know what the fuck that thing is. Yeah, I saw that was on the NXT thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm glad to pay this and also get an advertisement.
Yeah.
I mean, it was during natural break. They didn't just like bust in and like, here's this commercial in the middle of a match like they do for the television shows. So then Thursday, I got ISW Boner Jam 4 Balls Out.
Boner Jam.
Yeah.
Okay.
And ISW stands for Interspecies Wrestling.
Cool.
Now that one was only $10. The WrestlePro one, the previous one, was $15, and this is a far better show and funnier show than that one was.
I've never even heard of that before.
Oh, you've never heard of WrestlePro either. You don't know anything. And to be truthful, I don't know any of these people either. I just like looked up some stuff on the Reddit thread as like, what's good, quote unquote. And so some of these things got suggested, and like some of these things I got because they're AEW guys. Because all the AEW guys, like, they don't really have a thing going right now. I mean, they have a pay-per-view next month, and that's going to be their first thing in like 6 months. So like all their people are still working all this indie stuff, so they're kind of all out there right now.
Oh, okay.
So I got some of that stuff just because they're related to that.
Tell me about this interspecies wrestling.
It's an outfit out of Canada. There's a lot of like masked wrestlers, and they'll represent animals and stuff like that. I'm not sure.
I thought someone just actually put a moose in a ring.
No. This is just a standard. This is just standard people fighting each other, but it's just like you got to come up with names that stand out. So one of the big reasons I got this thing is because it's called Interspecies Wrestling. I'm like,
yeah,
what the fuck is that?
It's a bunch of guys in furry suits going at it.
Yes.
Crocodile.
Well, it seemed that because they have a lot of masked wrestlers doing stuff, and I think the reason is that they don't really have a stable of wrestlers themselves, and so a lot of people are doing double duty. So like they'll wrestle one match and then put on a mask for another match. So they'll have more matches with less people.
It's a good way to save money.
Yeah.
Or you could just pull out the multiple personality bit and not have to wear a mask.
Three Faces of Eve match.
So yeah, one of the first matches I saw, there was a guy who was basically Satan, and he came out, and he would like grab like someone's head like they're a preacher, but like he's blessing people, but like as Satan's like, may Satan's blessings be upon you.
Perfect.
There was a food fight match, which that was pretty stupid, but that's what he said. They came out and they put a tarp all over the ring. And so when they're done and the ring was just covered in a bunch of food, they just rolled it all up and like took it away. So
Gallagher show.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was the Gallagher match.
And some unlucky intern got to clean that tarp.
There didn't be too much wet stuff there. They had like a lot of like, here's a bag of potato chips and we're gonna hit a guy over there with a bag of potato chips, so it explodes and the chips go everywhere.
We just want to show in America how great our food waste really is.
Or a guy taking a hit from a loaf of bread and acted it was like a baseball bat covered in barbed wire.
To be fair, it was sitting out for a week. It was pretty stale.
Shooting ham out of a cannon. That would actually kill him, but
Yeah, I forget most of it. I was trying to take notes, but it was a pretty good show, and it was the cheapest show for the weekend. The last match was a Lego death match. So they just had Legos everywhere. They're doing pile drivers and shit onto Legos,
Oh Jesus!
Suck.
and they have like a door. They had a door with just a bunch of Legos glued to it, hanging in the corner. Yeah, there's at one point there's 4 people. And one of the guys, he's like one of those combat zone wrestlers. He's a hardcore wrestler, like so he's doing a lot of shit where he gets bloody at the end of the match, which I never heard him before. His name is Nick Gage.
Okay.
I watched some YouTube videos of him, and it's like and he's like saying shit like "Come at the God and see what happens," and then like the crowd's chanting "Nick fucking Gage, Nick fucking Gage." It's like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yes, they have I mean,
Which I was like, every event this weekend for me is like the crowd getting really hyped over somebody I had no idea who they were.
yeah, there are some super fans out there, that's for sure.
And I imagine like these are just like the same 100 people that are in this show are going to the other shows. Like it's just the same 100 people, like keeping this industry alive.
Yeah, I mean they got regional fans, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They probably will work with the guy at the lumberyard during the week.
But anyway, there's these 2 big guys in the match, and they're like headbutting each other in the middle of the ring, but kind of politely. And then they ended up on the outside at some point, and then when they cut back to them, they were like covered in blood. And this Nick Gage guy was fighting one of them, and like he bit the dude's head that was bleeding, and so his face is covered in blood with the other guy's blood, and his mouth is covered in blood. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
No universal precautions here.
And then the woman one, Addie, something like that. She did a Canadian destroyer onto her opponent onto a pile of Legos, and then got the win. It was also funny. It seemed beforehand they were trying to. They didn't know. Yeah, a lot of songs just being used willingly. It's like, are they gonna like get copyright strikes on this or something? Like, they seem to be pretty brazen about this stuff. And like, I was watching replays and that stuff isn't cut out. It's like you clearly didn't get a, what do you call that? You didn't pay for the rights to use this music.
Well, they might have got one of those coveralls, because how much of the song did they play?
Yeah, that's true.
You can buy rights like for.
Or it could have become one of those weird things where it's like it's a theatrical performance, so they whatever. And so they didn't know if they could use the term Lego, because it's like I think this is like their thing, the Lego Deathmatch. This company's, and so I think at some point they had to stop saying that, so they would like say Danish blocks of death or something.
Okay. Which is actually cooler in a way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like I like that one better.
And then at some point in commentary, like you said, like the guy that run the thing just came over and said like, oh, the owner said fuck it, it's Lego Deathmatch.
All right, we're going all in tonight, guys. It's Legos. We're gonna have Disney characters out there being pile drived and.
Then actually it's probably out of order, but I'll end on the other one because it was probably more entertaining. Joey Ryan's penis party.
Okay, that sounds like an interesting wrestling concept.
Well, he's the guy also does he tosses somebody around with his dick, or their opponent will like be forced to like grab his dick and then he'll like power slam them somehow with his dick.
Okay.
I mean they did that in the All In show, but this is like his whole thing. What's his name? He's the master of dong style. That's
okay.
Anyway, so this is a whole event he did there was a wrestling convention there called WrestleCon, and this was like a part of it. So this was done in like a hotel, like one of their what do you call, like evening rooms or whatever, like for big like meetings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't have many notes. I have here David Arquette wrestled, which he did.
Okay.
Because David Arquette's back into wrestling after he's like not an actor anymore, I guess.
Well, you got to find something.
Yeah. Oh, he's always loved wrestling. I mean, he was, because he did that movie, like 20 years ago, and like kind of as a gimmick, WCW made him the champion of the WCW champion.
Okay.
For like a week.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he's he's like almost like 50, so he's in pretty good shape for his age.
Yeah.
But like nobody is like, oh, he's what a great wrestler. Like he's kind of he's a joke. That's the idea.
Yeah, it's humorous.
Yeah, the other one I have is a parade of used tampons. So, like the Dick Druids, there was a tampon Druids. Because there's a guy named Sexy Eddie, Joey Ryan, and Val Venus were going up against Scarlett Bordeaux, who's basically a dominatrix stripper as a wrestler.
Okay.
And then a couple other ladies, and then they have some. So yeah, some of the stuff they do is like pull out of their shorts like, oh, it's a bloody tampon, and I'm gonna shove it in this guy's throat, just to get crowd reactions.
Yeah, that would do it.
And one of the lady, it's she pulled out a condom. It's like, oh, it's the used condom. And, shove it down his throat.
Get that in the throat.
There's one part. There's in the match where, like, so Scarlett Bordeaux, one of her moves is that she like kicks the guy in the corner, and then she like does a full running thing, and then like jumps and hits the guy in the face with her ass, and then rubs her ass over the guy's face, and then like after she does that, the other two guys like go to the corner and like lay down. It's like, come on, come on, do it to me. Then there's one spot where Sexy Eddie was like in the center of the ring, and he was just like, he looked like he was like gathering power, like he was like in fucking Dragon Ball Z. And then, like, everyone's hands were, like, reaching out. And it's like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, oh, everyone's being, like, magnetized toward his cock. Like, even the referee's, like, hand is, like, reaching out. And they're being dragged towards... It's like, whatever.
Wow.
And then at some point, there was just, like, a human centipede. Like, everybody's face was in everybody's ass for some reason.
This is crossing a line from pro wrestling almost into something else.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was everyone. It was adult wrestling with no nudity and lots of alcohol and probably drugs.
Oh, I'm sure. Essential.
Uh,
I'm looking at some of this stuff now. It's like, oh, that's interesting crew.
The commentaries were really. There's one. It was an intergender match between some like he just seems like a curmudgeonly racist like just. No censor Southern man who came out with the fucking what's that flag? The Confederate flag.
Yeah.
Draped over him with a cane. Like he's like like 60 years old or some shit. And he fought some lady who was basically a zombie Japanese princess. I think her name was Mass Suicide.
Okay.
The commentators, because the guy got on the mic and just like spouted a bunch of like it's like, oh, it's an old guy being racist or whatever.
Right.
So the commentators. Yeah. Then actually I saw this one before, but this one I have more notes on, so there's more stuff to talk about it. Is Joey Janela's Spring Break 3 Part 1. Which Joey Janela is a part of AEW now. He did that match with Hangman Page, where he got pile drive through a table.
Okay.
He was the guy who's like he runs like a girl. Remember that guy?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which I think I'm guessing now that was an injury because he had the first match. He's like, oh, he's running pretty good. He's not running like a girl, so I'm guessing he was probably injured. Yeah, they had a guy come out and just like consult the audience and said he was going to wrestle somebody from the audience, and he ends up wrestling a guy with no legs.
I just picture him like choke a hole on his back most of the match, just like
I mean, like it's almost cringeworthy, but also it's like, hey, that guy gets to have fun. He gets to do something he probably loves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this was probably there was some kind of arrangement. They
Yeah.
weren't going to randomly pull it.
Yeah.
Hey, paraplegic, come here. We got something. We're not going to get sued for this. Sign this waiver. Yeah.
Promised to empty colostomy bag before the match, and we're good.
And probably the match I'd show you just because it's so stupid but funny, but also there's nothing like gross or inappropriate about it, is the Invisible Stan versus Invisible Man match.
Oh, wow.
So it's a match with no wrestlers. And so they come out and announce, and now coming to the ring, Invisible Stan. And then like as nobody comes to the ring, the crowd's shouting, "Fuck you, Stan! Fuck you, Stan!"
Be cool if they found a way to like gimmick the ropes like open and close, like somebody's actually entered the ring and shit.
Oh, we'll get that. They do have stuff later on. But the Invisible Man's introduced, and so this is like a pretty like common trope of indie wrestling is the Invisible Man wrestling match. It's usually one guy in the ring versus the Invisible Man. He basically does the Fight Club thing where he beats himself up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they've ever done a double Invisible Man match. Next year they'll have to do like a fatal 4-way Invisible Man match. But anyways, so yeah, they get to the ring and the referee puts on special glasses so he can officiate the event. And so the referee sitting, so the whole match is the referee pretending to officiate a match, and the crowd is guessing what's going on.
Yeah.
And the commentators are actually like saying it's like, oh, they're trading blows because the referee's like kind of like doing this. The referee's actually kind of like imitating like what's going on so the crowd can guess what's supposed to be happening.
Right.
And then at some point like the referee like follows. There's like a top level of the bar or whatever, and so like they go up to that top level and like the referee's there. It's like no, don't, no, and then they have like some referees down below who like pretend like they fell on top, like the invisible, like the guys got thrown on top of them. They all fall down like there was a guy there.
I'm watching some of this now. It's good training.
And then
people what to do.
And then the last bit. So at the beginning of the match, they put like a door in the corner of the match. So it's like somebody's gonna get like speared through that door. And so like the end of the match is like they gimmick the door. So it just like breaks on its own, and so like that's the end of the match. And count 1, 2, 3, and Invisible Man won. That was pretty good nonsense.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, that definitely shows some creativity.
The other notes I have that was probably the highlight, but the other notes I have are lesser than that. But I guess I'll mention them. There's a dude named Orange Cassidy. Which I don't know him at all. He kind of looks like who's the guy from Drive?
The main.
Yeah.
The guy from Blade Runner.
God damn it.
That's Ryan something, right?
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling.
He vaguely looks like him. So he starts the match. He's like in jeans, no shirt, and he has glasses, and he just has his hands in his pocket.
Yeah.
And like. He's like barely doing wrestling moves. Like he's like there's like this part where like he kind of like leans against the rope and like walks towards his opponent and just kind of like brushes his shoulder on him. And then the commentator like says something like, "Oh, he's throwing shoulders." And the other wrestler's like, "What the fuck's going on there? That did nothing." And so the other wrestler decides like he's gonna pull his hands out of his pockets. And so like like kind of like make it dramatic. Like he pulls his hand out of his pocket, and he just immediately puts his hand in the pocket like nothing happened. And there's like one part where like he does it like 3 times in a row, and like the third time he just casually puts his hands back to the pocket. Like the commentator's like, he's just too quick. Yeah,
everyone gets to get in on the act. Like, how can we make this sound completely different from what it looks like?
Yeah, that one was really good because that was just far. They have another night coming up. Like I think it's tonight. It's probably going on right now. There's a second part, but that was pretty good because it has run the gamut of a lot of different like types of stuff going on. And, the last one was just a death match. Now it's like they get out light tubes and shit and hit each other with light tubes.
Fluorescent bulbs, yeah.
Yeah, There was a part where the guy brought out, it was a board with 3 scissors glued to it, like they're just held open.
Like scissors, like to cut things?
Yes, actual
wow.
scissors. He knocks the guy into the corner, pulls this up. And while the guy's laying in the corner, he puts the scissors against his chest, and there's like, you know, on a board, and then he runs up and kicks the board. When the guy goes to take the board off, the scissors are stuck in his chest, and he pulls them out.
Wow.
I was like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, was that planned, or did that...
Well, he wasn't bleeding too profusely,
Oh, okay. So there must have been some kind of technique.
but there was tons of blood.
Yeah.
They had like some like roofing tack thing. I don't know. It's like a thing where it's just like spikes on either end. It kind of looks like a bunch of staples held together.
Oh, yeah. Tack strip for roofing. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they just like ram that into each other's heads.
That's...
And so the one guy was just bleeding profusely.
I'm sure they'll regret that tomorrow. And they're like, how many people saw that? Like 200, not enough for them.
I mean, that's what those people do. I mean, there was the one guy, you could just see all the scars on his body from like years of doing this shit.
Puckered, dimpled flesh from
Yeah.
shallow wounds, millions of them. I did see something in that that Ring of Honor thing I watched tonight. I know we're going to talk about that next week, but I did notice like there was a fight, a prop fight. They called it a New York street fight.
Yeah.
When they brought the tables out and stuff. Well, somehow the table was stood up and got knocked over, so it was sitting on its top with the legs up, and one of the wrestlers like immediately went over to that, collapsed it, and threw it out of the ring because those legs were just sticking up like.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we better get that out of here because someone legitimately get killed on that because flying off the rope. So I like that. It's like, oh, okay, this was kind of an error, but the guys knew right away. It's like, we got to get that out of here. Flip it back over, one of the two, because someone's going to get gored.
Oh, yeah, it's totally like, and then, yeah, and there was like one tag team I saw across like all these ones. It's called Team Tremendous. I never heard of them before, and their whole thing is they're supposed to be like homicide detectives who are like wrestling to like solve some crime.
I love some of the sticks.
And so, like, you know, they don't look anything special. They just kind of look like, you know, like middle-aged dads that need something to do.
Yeah.
But surprisingly agile and strong.
Right.
But they had like Joey Ryan's penis party, they had a death match. So there was like a penis balloon with tacks on the outside of it, so they, you know, hit each other with that. And then the one that was like, it's like, oh, that doesn't seem too bad, and then it was pretty bad. It was the guy had just like a handful of like skewers, like kebab skewers,
Like meat skewers. Okay.
Yeah. It's like, oh, if he hits him with that and they're like just kind of all together, that's not going to create too much of a thing. It'll look more nasty than it is. But there's a part where like he hits him in the head with the stuff, and he starts like hammering him down, and then they all stick in his fucking head, and he starts bleeding.
Wow.
I'd say so far I'm not liking what the show sounds like at all. I'm not into that kind of crap. Like, I don't want to see people impaled with stupid shit just to bleed and look cool.
Yeah, that was only like. That's like they don't do the whole thing like that. And yeah, and that stuff's kind of hard to watch, but like, you know, when you see it the first time, you're like, Jesus Christ. So it's entertaining in that way. It's like, I didn't think they're going to fucking do that. But some people, like, that's what they come there for. It's like, I want the simulated violence to become real.
I want to see a little red. I did go down a YouTube rabbit hole once. The thing we were talking about this once, where it's again, these are the more of the like high school gym type things, where the guys would put fluorescent bulbs on a wood table and then throw the guy out of the ring onto the fluorescent bulb table, and the table would collapse. And these people are just bleeding like crazy.
Yeah.
Those aren't deep cuts because that glass is not like rigid.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, oh, when you see that and you get all this white dust come up, and it's like, well, I know from my hazmat or OSHA training that there's like lead and all kinds of nasty stuff in those fluorescent. And these guys just like, or not lead. There's bad stuff in those old fluorescent.
Things you don't want in your body.
Carcinogens, bad ones. And these guys are just like bleeding everywhere, covered with this powder, still fighting it out. And it's like, yeah, it's like, I know those aren't traumatic, deep wounds, but still, it's like, that's right. And these guys are doing this, you know, a couple times a month.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I mean, if you really want to see like BDSM and torture, there's places you can go on YouTube or internet and find it. Which I don't.
Or just put Hostel on repeat. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I tried to watch that movie. I got like halfway into it. I was like, this is.
Or Mortal Kombat 11's coming out this month. So.
Oh, the video game?
Yeah.
Well, good.
He's like, no, the pay-per-view.
I like to finish him.
We just got all the way. It's fighting with human dismemberment at the end.
Yeah, it's just full-on gladiator.
Yeah.
Are you not entertained? This man just exploded.
So that was all the non WWE stuff that I've watched, and I still have to, like I said, we're gonna watch the Ring of Honor New Japan stuff.
Yeah.
So I gotta finish that. And I have no idea how long WrestleMania is gonna be tomorrow. That's probably gonna be a fucking 7 to 8 hour show.
Yeah, that's all day.
I'll probably watch that during the week because I kind of want to see it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah.
I mean, like, fast forward watch those things. Like, just to, like, start the match. If it doesn't go anywhere, go to the end of the match, and then go to the next match.
That's what I do with most of NXT today. Because first fight was actually interesting. I watched pretty much all of it. Second fight was pretty much crap. The third fight was pretty much shit.
What was the second fight?
Velveteen Dream and Original Bro.
Oh, you didn't like that?
It was 6 minutes of prancing around, taking their clothes off in front of each other, and then just like Greco-Roman finger wrestling for like another 5.
Yeah,
and
but
it was just. I realized him versus not Ricochet is not going to be as off the wall and like fast paced, but he is that was not a good matchup. Original Bro did not seem like a very good wrestler, and Velveteen Dream just seemed really even more weird and off the wall than the last time I saw him.
well, that's kind of like his thing, but
Well,
also,
I know it is, but it's just kind of like it makes me uncomfortable just because I don't like him in the first place. And it's like literally like in the first 2 minutes of the match after they do the intros and walk downs and talk about the story, like Velveteen Dream's kind of just like shimmying out of his clothes. The Original Bro just got his hair back going like like looking at him like that. I'm like, these guys are about to blow each other because otherwise like it just seemed like a gay porno starting. And that's all that match seemed to be.
when they literally did something like that in the Ricochet match.
No, I know they did. And I know that's kind of their joke, but at the same time, it's like kind of come up with something new. I figured they'd play off the.
Well, I think this is probably like Matt Riddle. His thing is kind of like submissions and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
not really, he doesn't do high flying stuff. So they kind of do that to change up the pace of the matches.
But it killed their pacing. The first match was so good.
Yeah, you can't follow that, man.
And it's like either put Velveteen Dream third and then do the UK guys next because their match was just slow paced as shit. And I got tired of the one guy fake breaking the guy's fingers so many times. It was like, okay, apparently he just keeps popping it back into place or something.
A lot of the,
Like
well,
that.
I think the Matt Riddle stuff. The story there is like he was a real UFC fighter.
Yeah.
I believe he was undefeated. Got kicked out because he liked weed too much.
Yeah, I kind of got that from the Matthew McConaughey stoner vibe type thing.
And so he's also like a recent addition to the roster, so he
Yeah.
hasn't had like too much stuff to do. So it's kind of his first thing. But also like the roster's basically been gutted.
No, I could see that because
Like
basically
when Aleister Black and Ricochet were bound at the end, that's because that's their last match. They're gonna get called up.
Yeah, and I kind of figured that because it seemed like their male side of their roster, because they obviously had the UK like championship match or whatever.
Yeah.
It seemed like there wasn't much there anymore. The female side still seemed like there was plenty of stuff there.
Yeah.
From the Fatal 4-Way in the fourth match.
But that Walter Pete Dunne match, there was kind of like, so he's been the UK champion for like almost 2 years.
Yeah, it said it broke his longest streak of like being.
So there
champion.
was more of a history to that match than probably what. Well, I mean, like they gave it some due, but that was like there was importance to that match. But yeah, there was kind of a bit too long with the finger snapping and stuff like that.
Well, it was just something where like I fast forwarded from the end of the Velveteen Dream Original Bro trying to get past the intermission part. I went a little bit too far.
Yeah.
So I got some of the backstory, like, oh, okay, he's been a champion for a long time. This guy's kind of pissed about it, and he wants his chance, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I think I know where this is going.
Yeah, there's a dude named Walter who's just a giant Austrian man who can he has the best chops in the business. So like when you just like slap a guy in the chest with your hand and you can hear it reverberate throughout the stadium, that's what Walter does.
But you could see, like, the first fight, like, the crowd was really into that fight.
Oh yeah,
Like,
because
they fucking loved that fight. And
that
then-
was. I mean, you see a fucking 300-pound guy doing like backflips off his shit.
I know, but like there was a few lull moments in that fight that were like the energy died down a little bit, but that was pretty high energy the whole.
Oh
fucking-
yeah,
whole fucking fight, and like you said, that's pretty much impossible to follow.
yeah.
So, but at the same time, the second fight, like the crowd did not really get into that at all. The moments I watched, like there's probably some parts I skipped past that they probably got into it more, but they seem pretty much dead
I don't know.
for
If
most
you,
of that match.
if you watch the What Culture guys, the way they talk about it, it's
Oh.
like that was the greatest wrestling thing I've ever seen. Not that match, but like the whole
Oh.
event.
Oh,
But a lot of people like the Walter Pete Dunne match. And, like I thought it was fine, but I didn't think it was the best match of the night.
no, and then the third match, the crowd, like they like half of them did like a standing ovation, like clapping at the end of it. And this is after the like slap, like sissy fighting each other and just going like this and just doing like really quick kicks that look painful and shit. And I'm like, I wouldn't stand for that. Like it's just basically like 15 minutes of the guy breaking his fingers and then sissy fighting. And that match ended kind of. I mean, it was ended better than it was, but at the same time, it wasn't anything. And then at least the fourth match picked the energy back up, and it made it seem a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
With the Fatal 4-Way, and unfortunately, I didn't get to the last match. Which,
Yeah, that was probably the best match. Yeah, I'll have to watch it. It's a pretty long match because it was yeah, I got home and it was on, like, and that match was the last on, and like it seemed like this lackluster, like, oh, he pinned him, like, oh, is this a bad takeover? What? And then like it said like Adam Cole gets the first fall. It's like, oh, this is a 2 out of 3 falls match. Oh, okay.
Oh, I
I
didn't.
was like, oh, that seemed like total shit. Then, oh man, it goes places. So, yeah, I have to watch that one.
Well, I'll blame what I did early this afternoon for not watching it, which is
Because I think like a lot of people had I don't think a lot of people were very high on the women's match. Because I thought it
Really?
was like fine, but I didn't like. I don't know. I guess like story wise, it didn't end well for me. It's like you get to the end, it's like, oh, she just wins again.
yeah. Story wise, I didn't really like it because I kind of was. I guess I didn't remember what the rules of Fatal 4-Way were. I thought it was just
It's just
it was kind of like last woman standing type of thing.
well,
but
it's
it was
basically
just-
like one person's a champion,
yeah.
but like whoever wins that match wins the championship. So you don't necessarily have to beat the champion to
just have
be
to
the
beat
champion.
somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because at first I was like, why the hell is everybody breaking up everybody else's pins? Like, this makes no goddamn sense. Because I was like telling my wife, is like the smart thing would be is like those three women just go pin her immediately, and then they just fight between themselves. And then I was like, oh, okay, whoever pins somebody first wins.
Yeah.
And it's like obviously the Japanese, and is the Pirate Queen Japanese as well? Is she Korean?
Yeah, they're
or-
both Japanese.
Okay,
There's
so-
Kairi Sane, the pirate princess, and there's Io Shirai, the genius of the sky.
But I like how the Pirate Princess was trying to hide her shoulder injury or whatever with that tape on her fucking shoulder. Like, must have had muscle injury or something.
Oh yeah, that's common.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like,
I don't think she was
okay.
hiding it. If you can see the tape.
Well, long hair, yeah, but it just kind of like fell off like halfway through the match.
oh, it fell off. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. But anyway, they were probably the more interesting pair to watch. I always think the one woman, like, she's fun to watch and I like her gimmick, but it's like, that's a real fucking handicap, that like 8-foot long hair that people can just step on and grab and yank you all
Yeah.
over. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like when she pulled Shayna Baszler into the fucking
Yeah, I know. I
post.
do like that part. That was fucking.
It's like,
fun.
oh, this is when it works against you. Oh, it works for you.
I swear.
There's the last match they did. She whipped her with her hair,
Yeah.
and Shayna Baszler, like, they cut in close, like it fucking made her bleed.
Oh.
Like it put like a 2-inch scar on her stomach.
Jesus. Well, there was one part when both the Pirate Princess and the high flying girl, like, they kicked that girl, and I swear to God, the announcer called it the twat kick. And I was like, what? I don't think I heard him right, and I couldn't find the moment again, so I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I'm just going to call it a twat kick.
Coming in for the twat kick. Oh, and watch out, the deadly cunt reversal.
But, I mean, I guess I just pretend. I mean, one-on-one matches are fine, especially if you have I guess I just prefer higher energy matches or ones that
Oh,
seem
yeah.
like it's going somewhere quicker at a faster pace. Because,
Yeah, but that's. I mean, that's probably like how things are going right now. Because like a lot of times, like in the old days, like you just hire a bodybuilder and then try to teach them wrestling,
oh,
and it's a lot of people just picking them up and throwing each other down. A lot of slow matches. Where nowadays it's a lot of smaller guys doing like higher paced stuff. And some people like that, some people don't. I always like that because it's it's high energy.
Well,
but
I
also
know-
that's like, and also like you have some bigger guys that try to do that, and then like they always end up getting like severely injured somehow.
Well, I
Because
know-
like if you're smaller, then all that shit you do is going to hurt you less because there's less force put on your body.
well, I know that all that kind of like gymnastics and just doing multiple things and doing a faster pace opens up to more injuries and more things going wrong. And I get that. I'm not saying everybody should do that because there's still a style of wrestling like everybody else is doing in the middle matches that is very much still prominent, but it's not, like you said, it's not the popular one right now.
But but also that's like it's a weird thing to pace out an event, which WWE does horribly. But it's usually because like NXT, like they just put on 5 matches,
Yeah,
and it was a 3-hour show. Like,
3. Yeah,
It's
like,
done.
Yeah,
or maybe a little bit more. But like WrestleMania's, I think there's 15 matches, maybe 18 matches. So,
yeah, it's gonna be a really long piece for that one.
but like because like NXT, they had more feuds they could have put out there, but like they just like no, we're just doing these matches because they're all championship matches. The show.
Well, I like that part because it seemed like it was like trying to go into the higher stakes because that's what WrestleMania was doing with higher
Yeah.
stakes, all women. But at the same time, I would have killed for like 2 other smaller matches to
Yeah.
kind of break it up and not have 45-minute slow matches.
Well, I think you like.
Phase because they really needed to keep the energy up into the first one. I know it was just not good to go from like a million miles an hour to like slow crawl because you could tell.
Yeah,
the crowd wasn't
I
into it.
don't know. It takes a while to like kind of. I don't know. It's like I'm not really into MMA stuff, so like that kind of second match, it was kind of a mix of, playing to each other's strengths. So like doing like MMA. So like the whole like somebody does a move and you grab them out of the midair to a submission move. Like I don't think that stuff like looks well, but like theoretically it seems cool, but it always kind of comes off kind of sloppy.
Well, there's a few sloppy moments. There's one in the first match, and then there's a couple in the middle matches. Especially like the whole, like I finally noticed more about when like people throw somebody in the ropes and they do an acrobatic play off their opponent in the middle of the ring. They just stayed like this the whole entire time down. It's like they don't even attempt to try and look like it's a real action. They just wait for the person to springboard off them or do whatever. And it's just kind of like, you could make that look way better than just that, because that's just pretty sad.
Yeah, sometimes I think that happens because so much of the match is not planned.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you kind of go through the motions because like all that stuff happens in almost every match.
Yeah.
It's like the part where like he throws the guy on the ropes and then for some reason he just kind of like bends over. It's like what was he gonna do to that guy? Because the guy just comes up and like kick him in the face or do something else and like. Or sometimes I think it's usually like they're like waiting for them to like bounce off the ropes and they're gonna like throw them up in the air with I think it's called a back body drop. But it's like, yeah, well, I mean, but yeah, when you try to apply logic to any of these matches, like it always lowers the enjoyment of them.
Well, because my wife was watching.
Yeah, if you like this stuff and you are like applying too much logic, it's like, well, really, you're an MMA fan.
Yeah.
You just want to see people technically tear each other apart and, have someone to root for 2 years before they become so defeated. Then watch MMA because, those guys,
Really
you
do
can't
hurt them,
analyze
yeah.
it too deeply. MMA, you can go deep on it because it's not a spectacle. I mean, it is, but it's like those guys are trying to kill each other, and they will.
No, I mean, I get that. You can't really... Because I was remarking my wife because she was watching some of the matches with me, like, off and on because she was doing stuff, but she was mostly, like...
But no, it's good to hear this stuff because I think I was in the same shoes of you, but then I think, like, I've just been converted at some point
Oh.
to, like, I don't necessarily, like... I find different ways to enjoy it, but, like, but also I always realize like if you just show this to anybody, it'll all look like nonsense. You have to
Well-
you have to always like give excuses or give a history. It's like this is why this is important. It's like he just punched that guy in the face. Like I don't, and he didn't even do it. He just kind of waved his elbow towards his chest. It's like no, there's all history to it.
No, because they always seem to have that one angle for most of the matches where it's that same crowd segment each time, and I could tell how good the match was just based upon the crowd reaction. Because like literally like the first and fourth match, that crowd was actually on their feet or doing something. The second and third match, it was just people kind of going like this the whole time, or every time I like really looked at them because the match was pretty bad. But like there was enough mistakes, especially with the first match. The only part I hated was the more acrobatic guy just kept running into each turnbuckle like 5 or 6 times while Ricochet and Aleister Black were in separate corners, and they kept just standing there, and it's like, he could keep doing this forever. I'm like, don't. Like, this is obviously not hurting anyone. You're just kind of like running around giving him hugs, because that's all he was really doing, and I'm like, this took a, because before that, it was like him and Ricochet trading like different grappling moves, and like throwing each other around and shit and doing cool stuff, and then it went to, oh, my teammate's tired, so I better hug these guys 6 times in each corner. And it's like, no.
All right, I think we'll stop the wrestling talk for now. But yeah, that was probably
Oh, you can keep going if you guys are enjoying it. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think you still have to see the last match, but
Yeah.
like that's I think that's probably gonna be that's probably the show of the weekend. So that's probably the best thing to watch. And WrestleMania will probably be a nightmare.
I can talk about Shazam if anybody would care to hear about that movie.
I hear good things and I wanted to see it, but
Yeah.
I just haven't dragged myself to the theater because I don't want to go to the theater.
Well, I did today because
What were you guys talking? What movie did you see? Because it dropped out on me for like
Shazam.
Shazam. Okay.
Well, because a buddy of mine I played a game with yesterday, was talking about going to see Pet Cemetery, and everybody on the radio and like TV was like, "Oh, that's a good movie." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I would have pegged Pet Cemetery as a good movie because it kind of looked like a quick release dump or whatever, and then I read reviews for it. I'm like, "No, it's not a good movie."
Oh,
So I felt bad for him because that's what he was seeing today. I was trying to convince him to go to Shazam with his wife, but I guess he didn't want to see that. So, no, funny. Or I'm not going to spoil anything for you, Colin, so I'm not going to give any details away. But it's actually like I was really worried because there was like 4 trailers released before the movie came out,
yeah.
and I watched 2.5.
Did they give all the jokes away?
Yeah, all the jokes away and all the good moments away. And it did in some places, but there was still enough there that it was actually new and it was different. You actually could laugh at most of the movie because it wasn't just like, oh yeah, haha, I've seen that 5 million times already. And I mean, it's pretty solid reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, 91% critic, 89% audience. So
Yeah.
that's usually a pretty good indication that it's going to be something solid. It's pretty.
And usually they don't give DC movies like automatically great reviews. So that seems pretty like good for it.
I mean, I guess I didn't know this.
Is this linked at all to all the other DC stuff, or is it kind of just separate?
At the end, one of like the very end things, like Superman shows up, but you don't see his heads, obviously, because Henry Cavill might not return to the role, so they didn't have him in it. But yeah, and then there was like little tie-ins in because like the end credit scene's kind of like a Deadpool-esque like animation, like notebook scene, and so it has like Aquaman doing stuff with him and shit. So it's like connected that way.
Okay.
And they mentioned Batman, Aquaman, and all that shit, but they don't really, interact with them. But no, from reading Shazam comic books, a couple of them, and knowing more about the
so you
character.
actually like know
Yeah.
stuff about it. Okay.
I mean, they kind of followed the similar storyline to what I thought they would follow, but they did change it up a little bit.
Because another thing I know about Shazam is, did you ever read Kingdom Come?
I don't think I did.
It's a pretty spectacular comic because you know how like the cover art's like pretty different from the inside art. Like the cover art's like always like big and flashy, and it's like more detailed.
Yeah.
So this is Kingdom Come was a comic book where every panel was basically the cover art.
Huh.
And so yeah, that had a bunch of, that's the only thing I know about Shazam. So it's like a kid says Shazam turns into Shazam. That's like the only thing I know about it.
And they kind of made a joke about that a little bit. There was definitely a lot of good parts. There was like maybe one or two parts I was kind of disappointed in, like continuity wise, as far as like, oh, okay, he just threw those guys out the window, and then the cops show up and the guys magically aren't there anymore. Even though and I'm like, really? How hard is it to have two extras bound and gagged in a parking lot next to the cop car coming in? And it was just like, okay, because the first like half of the movie I was like picking stuff apart and I wasn't really getting into it as much, but then it started to seem to hit its stride and I didn't care. PG-13 movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay, that's actually pretty good for PG-13. So it was like, I mean, you don't see anything, but it definitely doesn't lead you to believe anybody survived.
Okay.
So it's like people getting thrown out of skyscraper windows down to their deaths with their heads bitten off and stuff. It's like, wow, okay, this is for a movie about like a little orphan kid that finds his heart. And like, oh, okay, pretty actually dark.
Family gets slaughtered. What a fun moment.
And then there's a bunch of Santa Claus cameos because it's Christmas time or whatever. But that pays off really well at the end.
Shane Black directed write this.
I can't remember who. I know the same guy that directed it did like Lights Out and Annabelle Creation and shit like that.
Oh.
Because I saw that after I didn't read any of the reviews before because I didn't want to be influenced to think anything. And then I was like, oh, okay, that guy did that because one of the critics was like, you could tell he only does horror. I'm like, you could tell he only does horror? Like, there wasn't any jump scares and quick cuts, so I don't know what the hell. Like, can't say the action was, like, flawless or anything, but at the same time, it's all CGI driven, so.
Yeah.
Because you're battling the 7 deadly sins and Mark Strong that has the evil eye, he can fly and do super shit. Like, it's not exactly what I would call a practical effects heavy movie.
Speaking of DC stuff, did everybody see the Joker trailer?
Yeah, I did.
I haven't seen it yet. Does it look pretty good?
Oh, go ahead and watch it.
Right now?
Yeah, just go ahead and watch it right now.
Okay, hold on. Speak amongst yourselves.
Did they show the trailer before the movie?
No.
No, it hasn't.
I think it was too. I don't think it'd be too dark. Like half the people
Maybe,
in the
yeah.
movie, half the people in the movie theater were like a 10-year-old's birthday party. So that might,
Okay. Yeah. I don't go to. I usually don't go to movies on the weekends. So like, my movie crowds are like like 80-year-old women, just like going to the matinee.
Oh, have you seen the trailer for the new guy that plays Drax the Destroyer? I can't think of his name.
Dave Bautista.
Yeah, his like new CIA like comedy action movie.
No.
It's like him and like a.
What's that?
Go ahead. The Joker thing was coming through this audio.
Oh.
Get it aside. Sorry.
No, it's like him and a 9-year-old girl is his last chance to like get a mission right, unless he's kicked out from being a secret agent.
Oh yeah, is it like My Spy or something?
Yeah, it's like something like that. It's like, oh, that actually seems kind of funny because it's like literally like a 9-year-old busts us. What are we gonna do? It's like, okay, we're gonna kill her or pretend like she fell down the stairs and he's playing it like total Drax, so it's kind of funny. And then the girl's like, I'm recording this still. It's like, what are you doing? Like,
he's got a match for WrestleMania.
oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh.
Fighting Triple H.
Huh.
He's gonna end his career.
I saw that, what's his name? Was it Triple H? It was like founder of NXT or something like that.
Well, he's like who runs it. He's like Vince McMahon for NXT.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't know that, and I saw that in the NXT thing. I'm like, oh, really? Okay.
So basically, like, everyone's just waiting for Vince McMahon to like hand the reins over to him. I don't know. That's the thing with NXT is that like they only do 5 like takeovers a year.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of planning goes into every one.
Yeah. Well, I hope so.
Like so, like if he has Vince McMahon spots, like all right, every month we got to do a pay-per-view, and plus they got these side ones, and then like all the weird like advertising shit they have to do, where they have to like consider. Because they were thinking that for a bit here they were going to have like intergender wrestling again. Because like the reason they don't do it is because Mattel is a big sponsor of them and they make their toys. So they don't do that because Mattel tells them not to.
Did you see John Oliver's WWE segment?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've talked about that on the show before. Like that stuff is really stupid. Because that was the hope about AEW is because they were hinting at that they might actually give employment to their wrestlers with healthcare and stuff like that. Rather than independent because that's what like strippers and people who like come and do like, you know, a plumber or whatever is like come and does contract work, like that's an independent contract.
Yeah, nuts. They're not there at your house every day, 9 to 5, making a living. They're just there one
Well, also
time.
like a weird thing is like where they signed exclusivity deals. Like,
Yeah, so they can't
you're
even-
exclusive to WWE, but you're an independent contractor.
No, it's just some of the stuff. That
Well, it was interesting. There was a wrestling show this weekend. There was a German promotion called WXW,
yeah.
and they're partially teamed with WWE, and so like one of their wrestlers, like he lost a match and he got on the mic and he called out Walter, the guy that was in the NXT match, because he used to be there, and then like he like saying like WWE was an evil empire and stuff like that, and he quit the promotion. Nobody knows if it's real or just like that was if they're just like trying to. Is it a work or a shoot? That's what they call it. Like a shoot means is it real, and a work means is this some planned bullshit?
Well, that looks pretty amazing. And that movie was coming out. Got a 50-pound Joaquin Phoenix playing Joker.
Yeah, a lot of people are comparing it to Taxi Driver.
Yeah, I might watch that if that's good. Because there's 2 movies I want to see. Well, now I want to see that if it comes out good, and I want to see the Brightburn if that's good.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I still want to see Brightburn, but also
Is that out, or is that coming out?
May-
Well,
think
I know
it's
it's coming
I think
out,
it's
okay.
May it comes out, I think.
Because I remember you said that you were confused. You thought it was coming out like last week or something.
Yeah, because it's just the imagery, like the same letter font and color type for Pet Cemetery is pretty much
Oh,
Brightburn's
yeah.
trailer, where it's like black with like weathered finish with red lettering and
Okay.
shit. So I'm like, oh, okay, that'd be awesome. I can go see Brightburn Shazam in a day. I'm like, nope. So, because yeah, Brightburn's May, and then Hellboy's later on this month, which I want to see along with Avengers, just because see what the story leads to. Because I don't want it to be Ant-Man going up Thanos' ass like everybody seems to think on Reddit, because that's like the most popular theme ever apparently. Just like 1,000,001 ways to say Ant-Man goes up Thanos' ass. Like,
I saw this great thing on Reddit on one of my horrible memes things that I'm a part of. It's a Denny's thing. It was like giving money to stop hunger, and you put your name on the board, and it's like so and so did his bit to stop child hunger in the world, and somebody put Thanos on there. Thanos has done his part to stop world hunger. It's like, yes, he has actually.
until the Avengers made everybody starve again. Bastards.
Yeah, he's solving hunger for all of reality.
Yeah.
But no, otherwise, there's John Wick 3 that comes out here in like another month or so, and that hopefully should be pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think it's the last one, isn't it?
Oh, probably. I mean, that's usually what they do is trilogies, and
I mean, I don't know.
so
if
it'll probably
be
be dead at the end of the movie or something.
I mean, I don't know if it'll be the end of the universe of the character, but
Well,
because it has Halle Berry in it, so I don't know if she'll.
I don't
survive
think they're
the
doing a
spin-off
handoff
with
to
her.
Halle Berry.
No. Well, I mean, female action movies seem to be pretty popular and get made more than once every couple of years now. So.
Yeah. Did anybody see Peppermint?
My wife wanted to, but I was like, "This looks totally fucking shit. I'm not watching this."
Yeah, I hear I thought like it didn't look good, and then like you hear like, like audience reactions like loved it, but like that's just because people like revenge movies, and also it seemed like the whole point of that movie is like, oh, the government won't do anything. It's like, now I gotta take the law into my own hands and get a bunch of automatic weapons and go take it.
Oh, there was a Facebook post by my uncle that kind of left me perplexed this fucking week, because he just posted something like U.S. should have a drug policy like Portugal, where everything's not outlawed, so people can start treating the real problem, which is people's social issues and like stuff like that, and get them actual help they need instead of combating drugs as like this evil of society.
Yeah.
And then somebody, because his whole point was just make all drugs legal because that'll end all the crime, or end a lot of the crime involved in it. And then so an old guy reads this and posts, "Yeah, that's what we should do with guns." And I'm and immediately I'm like, I don't think the U.S. is that strict on guns. Like, you can pretty much get just about anything you want. I mean, and unlike a machine gun or bazooka or whatever, but his whole point was like, oh, end all the gun violence. I'm like, I don't think that's going to help anything.
Making sure everyone has guns will end the gun violence. It's like we already have more guns in this country than we have people. We have enough for 2 hands. Everyone gun in each hand.
Well, maybe
Now
he was
imagine if everyone had a bazooka in each hand.
or an M1 Abrams tank in each hand.
I'm still a fan of the flamethrower with the little blue flame underneath, like an alien.
Yeah.
Alien. It's like if someone comes up to you, it's like, "Hey, give me your keys," and they see that click and that little blue flame comes on. They're not going to want your keys. I believe like a flamethrower is a strong deterrent to crime. Now it's a big giant pack you have to wear everywhere with you, but you know.
You could like try and downsize that and just do.
No, the fucking what's his name, Elon Musk. They made a flamethrower that specifically on the thing said it wasn't a flamethrower, even though it was a flamethrower.
Yeah.
It was just like a like a battle rifle flamethrower.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you only need to use it once. That'll get the other guy. If there's a group of people attacking you and one of them bursts into flames and is running away screaming, the other guys would probably take the hint. It's like this. We're not wanting to go down this road.
I remember there was like a weird, somehow it was legal it was like a defense mechanism for your car where you could basically like build a flamethrower that just shoots out the sides of your, underneath,
yeah.
it shoots out the sides of your car. So if there's like somebody coming up to your car door, it's like, hit the flamethrower button and just like...
Anti-carjacking technology.
Yeah.
Use the Napalm 5000.
Well, you could make like a fucking. I mean, it would basically be like putting a fucking power fist on your goddamn arm. But you could make like a fucking handmade flamethrower just like on one fucking arm. It'd probably weigh like 20 pounds.
Yeah, do you just want to blast a fire or do you want like something sticky that sticks to somebody like a real flamethrower?
Like a gel propellant.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to do damage. I don't want it to be like a hairspray can. I want it to have secondary.
Well, I was talking about taking one of those, like, the portable camping stoves with, like, a little propane cylinder.
White fuel, yeah.
Yeah, just, like, have that kind of setup where it's, like, it's a big enough canister to probably pump out, like, a couple minutes of flame and, like, do enough, like, big enough reach out that you're not burning yourself. And then you can hopefully easily, like, if you had it attached in such a way, just swap out canisters when that one goes empty.
I want those guns in District 9.
Oh.
Where it just like blows people into mist. It's like, well, that problem's solved. And it makes a weird sound. And it's painted in orange and red or something. Just really clashing colors. Actually, I don't want any of that stuff. Just leave me alone.
Well, I mean, I was seeing there is stuff on Reddit about people posting the new, maybe the possible resurgence of the knockout game. Where people just walk down the street, mind their own business, and get knocked out and robbed.
Yeah, I think that video might have just been old and people are bringing it up again.
I was hoping
that ends up on my feed all the time where it's like, I'm a total piece of shit, and just somebody knocking somebody out, or public freak out. I fucking hate almost every public freak out video.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's basically, I don't know, it's like, it's like why I don't really like World Star Hip Hop. It's like, let's just watch real people beat the shit out of each other for a fry from McDonald's.
Yeah.
It's Gladiator Reborn.
I've dealt with enough. I've never seen the knockout game, but I've dealt with public freakouts. I mean, not dealt with, like I had to deal with it, but I've like walked through a fight where I just walked over someone and got in my car and drove off. And then later someone was like, man, that was kind of being an asshole. It's like, what was I supposed to do? Break up the fight? That doesn't involve me. These guys want to beat the shit out of each other. Why should I care?
I always kind of wonder when I see that shit. Like there was one this week about a woman at Costco, like just throwing shit from this one aisle and just trying to hit everybody. That mostly seemed like one person in particular, like glass bottles and just like stuff that would spray like cans and crap like that. Until like she ran out of ammo or just didn't notice and the cops tackled her and she's just screaming, no, you can't do this. It's like,
it's my right.
It's like exactly what drove you to just start throwing shit at everybody at Costco and fucking like it looks like their aisle like it had an earthquake or something just because everything's on the floor. And it's like, did somebody just like tell you that they didn't want to be with you anymore or like cheat on you or some shit? Because otherwise I don't see why the hell you're throwing shit at everybody.
There's also people under the influence of drugs and alcohol and mental illness, or a combination of all.
Yeah, most of the crazy shit I've seen and dealt with around here is all mental illness, and it's just weird randomness. Like you'll be walking in. Myers is the worst place for it. I don't know. You guys, do you have Myers there?
No.
No.
Okay, it's just.
Have you ever been to a Myers?
No.
It's basically Sam's Club.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a membership-free Sam's Club. They have a very impressive hunting and fishing section. If you want like a nice cooler and some ice packs you won't find anywhere else, go to Myers. If you want fresh vegetables for cooking, weirdly enough, Myers is the best place to go for it because they get all the stuff, because it's a Michigan-based company, so they get all the best deals and they have all the best fruit and strawberries and vegetables. But there's a lot of bus stops by the Myers, and where you have bus stops, you have homeless people, and where you have homeless people, you have mental illness. And yeah, I have seen some wacky shit going on with people randomly yelling things, and like the "Hello, my fellow Americans" guy, like he stands on a bench and gives it. Stacy's seen this guy because it's like, oh, here we go. And it's like, what? It's like, watch this, my fellow Americans. He'll start giving speeches like this. He looks like he came from under a bridge. Like you think, like, where's the film crew at? This is not real. This is. But yeah, I've seen people rolling around fighting over I don't know what. The one time I got involved, some guy was shoving his girlfriend, and I was like, "Hey, you got to stop that." Oh, fuck you, man. It's like, oh, they've already called the cops, so whatever. And then I waited there, and then of course I was going to get drawn into some investigation. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. I just stood there and made sure he didn't hit her. I don't know what was going on. I don't know these people, but yeah, there's a lot of most of the stuff I've seen that's really nuts like that is mental illness, just in full roar. Or conversations that start out normally and always lead to a pitch for money. It's like, hey, I see you're into that, man. I used to know some guys that did this, and I'm thinking, well, this is going to be a cool conversation or a pitch for money. And then it comes up to like, well, I got to get home. I don't have any money for the bus. And I just inside, like, something clicks like a watch, like, I got fucking. Sorry, man, don't have any money. All right, fuck it.
Not for you.
He's like, that's okay. I take Venmo. I'm like, god damn it.
Anything will help. You got any change in your ashtray? And I just get in the car and drive away. Like, no. Or the guy who dressed in a FedEx uniform had a whole spiel for me. He said his truck broke down and he needed $10 to get in the taxi cab. It's like, your FedEx truck broke down? Because I started questioning him. It was my first mistake. It's like, yeah. I said, you're fine. I got a cell phone here. You can call your company. They'll come get you. You don't have to take the bus back. As a matter of fact, they probably want you to wait by your truck, don't they? Because it's full of merchandise and people just crowbar the open and steal shit out. He's like, man, fuck this. I don't have time for you. And he walked for me. He was like, wait a minute. I'm trying to help. Let's call FedEx, man. I don't want to get my Christmas stolen. Yeah, but actually had a FedEx uniform on and just a whole story, like a performance art was performed in front of me, and like anything will help, like $10 or whatever. It was like some guy playing a really cool saxophone on the corner. If he had a hat in front of him, I would have given him $10 for that. But this whole con job thing, like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
Drifted.
We recently had more shit like that in Cedar Rapids. Not the whole costume affair, but more or less people just like knock on your window while you're warming up your car or getting in your car after a restaurant, and they'll be like, my wife and kid got in an argument with me and they left me stranded here. I need money for a bus ticket or whatever. And it's like, bus ticket?
Write a better story. Bye, sir.
And then it's like, no, sorry, we don't have anything. And then you see him bug like 6 other people, and then he gets in a car and drives off, and it's like, yeah, exactly what I thought.
Yeah, we had somewhere like someone was begging for something. Like, we actually had like food, like leftovers from dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm starving. It's like, we got food. Like, nah, man, I just need money. Like, fuck you.
I got half a bloomin' onion here, man. If you're up for it, it's all yours. Fuck you. Like, oh, wait a minute. I was going to give you half my bloomin' onion.
It's good as gold.
I'd like to stay high and fuck all day, too, but I got to work. So I know it sucks. Believe me, I would.
No, I know. That's the fucking problem is, like, all the con shit is pretty much ruining anybody else that has any real problems where they need food or some other shit.
Oh, yeah. Not how you're it makes you desensitized to people with actual problems.
Yeah, people with actual problems.
I mean, it's not like these con artists are like living high in the hog, but
No, because I like how the fake homeless people around here will beg when it's nice out, or even when it's like negative 35, they'll be outside with the sign.
oh, you only know the real ones when it's bad weather.
Yeah, but when it rains, there nobody's in sight.
Yeah.
It's like, you fucking kidding me? It's
I
rain.
found shelter.
Get
Looks like
pint-
someone's not homeless.
So get pint bottles of like high proof alcohol, and when you see the guy out there in the rain just hang that out the window, he'll come running if he's legitimate. You know, everyone else just wants
Money.
Some people just want their stuff. You know, it's like, but they want something specific. Like they're hitting you up for money coming out of a liquor store. It's like, I'll go buy you some booze. I'm not opposed to that. I like to get drunk too. No, man, fuck that. I just need money. It's like, for what? The booze is right there. I'm willing to take it there and buy you something. Oh, booze isn't good enough for you. You gotta have, I don't know what Angel does. What you have?
I need black tar heroin.
Our hobby shop's like right next to fucking AA meeting.
Oh yeah.
And so there's always, the parking lot's always full because of them. It's never full because of any other stores in the shop in the strip mall. But we have this clearance table in the shop that takes up a good chunk, and he can never get rid of enough shit. It always keeps piling up. And I'm like, you know what we should do? Just stand outside the door with like a sign. It was like, come on, find your new addiction inside.
Yeah.
It's like, he gave up alcohol, now take up plastic. Come on, it's
Trade
okay.
one problem for another.
Well, because they all
Workshop, it's almost cheaper than pussy.
Well, because they all fucking, like, they're outside, like, just ganged up out the door, talking about their shitty lives with their cigarettes and their vape pens and shit. And it's like, well, nobody's quitting smoking. That's for goddamn. That's
always
for
love
goddamn
that
sure.
So that's what I needed AA for, was to quit smoking, and no, it was smoke. You have a problem with liquor? No, I'm in love with it. I don't have a problem at all. Cigarettes that I have a problem with.
Well, because I've heard a conversation like 6 months ago between one of the guys running the meeting and one guy that wanted to come in, because they didn't specify it was only alcohol addicts. It was, you know, like, oh, is there any other substances you guys do? And it's like, no, only alcohol, because that's the real problem. It's like, oh, I've never seen anybody suck dick for alcohol.
There's no one getting handcuffed to a pit bull over a fifth of Jack Daniels. I'll guarantee you that.
It's like, wow, you guys are pretty narrow-minded, huh? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. But yeah, I wonder how they pay rent there, because I've heard how much it costs for that shitty place.
Well,
and like, they must have pretty good
if it's-
dues.
Usually AA stuff is like all volunteer, so
It's donation based.
Okay, so the donations must be going towards rent then, because it's like $1,200 a month.
Well, because
or whoever owns it is just
Yeah.
like letting them use the space. Like that's usually how it works.
Oh, the guy that runs that place is a slumlord. He's not letting him use space.
there's probably state money coming in. Then there's
Yeah.
always something to keep you sober. There's nothing. There's no clubs that meet to get you fucked up though. That are voluntary. That's all pay as you go, and that sucks. But like, well, our where our model club meets in the little Union Hall, like we show up an hour after the AA meeting. And that's because you have this just the cigarette machine or the a giant ashtray outside is just like heaping. Like, oh, the AA meeting was here. Because once one of the guys was, it's like, what meeting are you guys having here? We're talking about building models. It's like, oh, I'm here for the Al-Anon meetings. Nope, not here. I mean, we build models. I want to talk about that. But we get to use that for free because most of us are in the union, so, but not that one anymore. But the guy that's the president of the club's in the union, because that union hall is pretty expensive to rent out, just to anyone. We get it for free, which is cool because I always try to stay and clean up. It's like, yeah, I want to preserve this space because the next thing we're going to be doing is at somebody's house, and I'll do about 3 of those, and then I'll just tap out altogether. I don't like the at people's houses shit, and we're not having it at mine, that's for sure. So let's keep this space sacred and clean.
Well, I know that there's still a UAW Union Hall near Cedar Rapids that we have our monthly meetings in that I get offered to go to but never go to because, you know, who wants to go to a UAW meeting after work for an hour for an hour to hear boring minutes and shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like, oh, if you guys need to rent it out, and I was thinking it was more like your situation where if you're a card carrying member, it's like free. Like, no, it's still pretty much like $200 to fucking
No,
rent
it's
out.
not. We had to buy an insurance writer though.
Oh, okay.
We had to vote on that this week because we have to, every time we direct our dues, we have to all vote on it, which is okay. That's fine. I don't. We're not for profit, so there's not like a board of directors or anything. But yeah, we have to buy a $2 million insurance writer in case the place burns down while we're there or something. But it's real cheap. It's not like it's $400 a year or something. It's like $10. But yeah, I was surprised to hear that. It's like, yeah, we got to buy a writer. It's like, okay. I learned all about primer this week. We actually had an informational thing.
Like types of primer or just priming methods?
Both.
Okay.
I had a 2-hour conversation literally about primer, and it was great. I mean, it was like, oh, I never knew you could do it this way. And because I brought my thing, which is because it was like, everyone bring your primer and talk about how you use it. And so I like made a presentation of like, these are the 3 stages of primer with me. Very light, super thin, a little darker, less thin, and then full primer. And I talked about like the ratios I use to thin it and what pressures I shoot it at through the gun and everything. And I found out I was wrong on my pressures. I was way too high. So so I came home and I, of course, took notes on my phone, and I tried it at the lower pressures, and guess what? It worked a lot better. So it's like, not only did I describe what I did, but I learned, where I was wrong, and I'm very happy with the results of, trying it a different way. Like my mix ratios were right, my pressure was way too high. So it's like, oh, okay, I never thought of it that way. So, because I always thought you shoot at one pressure and that's pretty much all you do, but no, you play around with it and get a lot more life out of it that way.
So can you cheap out on like your air compressor and stuff like that? Does any air compressor work for any airbrush?
Well, I mean, no, it's just like anything else. You get what you pay for.
Okay.
There's most of the stuff I use there's a lot of different products. It's kind of all in the same price range, but there's like some people like Iwata, some people like Posh, some people like Badger.
Yeah.
But they're all pretty much in the same price range. They all work a little different. I have 2 Posh air brushes, and I'm fine with them. I'm not going to change horses at this point, but yeah, when it comes to air compressors, yeah, I get like middle of the range stuff. I'm not. There's some air compressors that are like multi-stage, like if you're shooting abrasives through a special contraption where you're actually trying to get a textured surface by basically using it like a sandblaster.
Yeah.
You need more expensive airbrush compressors. I'm not doing that, so I tend to get basic stuff and work up. As it fails or wears out or my skills improve and I need to graduate, then I'll move on to something more expensive. But I'm not going to go out and buy like the Rolex of whatever when I'm not at that skill level yet. There's no point in it.
Well, my dad was trying to get me to come over at some point and use his Badger airbrush that he has. I can't remember the model number and stuff like that, but he claimed he loved it a lot and it works really well. So
some people like Posh, some people like Iwata, some people like Badger, and they all. I've heard different opinions from a lot of different guys that and they have their reasons. I'm fine with Posh. It's never failed me like, oh, I didn't get what I wanted, but I haven't tried anything else either. So maybe there's something better out there.
you're saying since I've only tried pussy, maybe if I try cock, I'll like it?
No.
No.
That would be like, that's like changing gods. I'm not ready to change gods. No, it's like they all essentially do the same thing, just different ways to achieve it. And I've never been felt that this is lacking for me.
No, and I wish there was something around here that had more actual choice, because I think there's basically just, if you can find one, it's gonna be the cheapo piece of shit one you don't actually want, and you basically have to.
I can go stuff online, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking physical store, so I don't have to if I go ahead and buy an airbrush for like $150. I'm not like instantly like, hey, I gotta wait another week for something else to come in if I don't have it or whatever. Like, it'd be nice to go over like, oh, I can just drive across town and get another needle or get another, whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I use Posh is because that's what the model store specializes in. So,
Yeah.
and I was new to airbrushes and didn't know anything about them until John told me about them, and this is what he carried, and it's what I've used for the last 3 or 4 years, and perfectly fine with it.
well, because you don't have to replace.
Would Iowa City have like a bigger, more diverse hobby store there?
Maybe, because I just went to First Her today, and they were pretty. I was expecting more because they were bigger than the one I go to, but they're just basically more table space. There wasn't really more product on the shelves. Even though they did have like 6 pinball tables, like Deadpool and like fucking a bunch of other shit that I didn't even know existed. But other than that, they didn't have shit.
I didn't know
Because-
Deadpool had a pinball machine. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually Iowa City will have like those specialty shops will be bigger there, even though it's a smaller city.
Well, I probably should have checked out Hobby Town when I was at Town and Country after the movie, but I was kind of like running short on time and was like, well, I need to get back home, and my wife wanted to finish watching Santa Clarita Diet's 3rd season and shit.
Oh, is that out? Okay.
Yeah. It's actually pretty. Like, the first couple episodes are kind of shaky and weird, and then it actually gets better, so.
Okay. Well, also like the season 2 of The Tick came out, and I wanted to see that. So I was like,
Oh.
oh, 2 shows that you can watch now.
Yeah, I saw the advertisements to the Fire Stick the other night when I was. Weirdly, WWE fell off your home screen, so I have to keep looking for it.
Okay.
Because I don't know why that is. Like, it was always like the 2nd or 3rd app on your home screen, and now it's just like not on there anymore.
Wasn't well, sometimes it's like whatever you use. If you're using some other things more prevalently, like that gets
Oh.
pushed off. So if it's like the last thing you use, it'll get pushed off.
Yeah, so that's why I've searched for it twice and used it twice, so hopefully it'll go back on now. But yeah, my wife's been watching a lot of HBO and Amazon stuff recently.
I'll show you something I'm working on real quick. Still working on the TACOM tank, but I finished the action figure that came with it.
Oh, it came with an action figure? Cool.
Well, it's just a little guy with an
Oh.
AK-47 and a mask.
Well, that's still a nice bonus for,
I don't know how well you guys can see it.
I mean, I can make out his look and stuff, and I see the gas mask hose. I can't really say what
See
color
the
it
wood
is.
finiture on the AK.
Yeah, I painted all that on by hand. Actually, this guy's all hand painted, no airbrushing here. So you can get away with that with figures. I went with the silvered lenses because I kind of wanted a Metro vibe.
Okay.
And then book the Metro 20 so you can see the silver reflective
Yeah, I can see that.
goggles, which don't really exist, but they look cool. So this is the guy that came with the tank. And let me see if we...
Because I thought, like, most, or like any World War II kits usually, I thought came with, like, at least a tank commander or somebody to kind of swing out the top hatch to make it look more realistic. Oh, that's fucking good.
Some of them do. This is the tank and primer.
Yeah.
And those are this is what I did when I was watching Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling was made. Tank treads. These are I added it up. Damn it. 340 individual links for the quad tread.
Fucking Christ.
These are the links right here. So I did 340 of these little guys.
I'm surprised it's not like GW where you have actual, like, the track segments that are like 12 individual pieces long, and then the ones that are 2, 1, 3, 4, and you just kind of piece them together that way instead of one at a time.
Well, this allows, when you do them one at a time, there's kind of a technique, which I'm learning, because a lot of the tanks I built before just came with the rubber continuous tread that you only hook up in one place. This has the individual treads, but what this does is this lets you build the slack into the treads.
Oh, okay.
You put I put like 50-cent pieces, because tank treads are not like straight and rigid. They have slack in them.
Yeah.
So if you do the individual treads, if you put the glue on and then you kind of compress them, it creates a more natural look. On the bottom, I sort of screwed it up a little bit. I'm going to work on that. But yeah, that's why they do the individual treads. If you get into, there's a company that makes great tank models called Dragon. And they will, you'll put individual each individual tread has 3 parts on it. So you take the track,
So
hoist-
you would be doing 3 times the work if you had that thing.
yeah, I'd be doing like 700 moves. Well, this is a quad track, which is weird. Most tanks have 2 tracks. This has 4, so it makes it weird. But
Okay.
yeah, some of those companies make Dragon is one. Some of you can buy aftermarket metal tracks for everything. And you can get aftermarket resin, like that Abrams tank that I built. Which one was it? Alas Babylon. You can get all kinds of stuff to mod that out. You can go $500 deep on a $70 kit. And I guess if you love it, if you love the topic, it's worth it. I've never done any resin mods or anything on any of my models yet because I'm just not that into it yet. So, but yeah, that was. But anyway, I forget what my original point was. Oh, I learned a lot about Primer this week, and it was really cool. And I wrote on Facebook, "Thanks everyone for I've actually got a lot out of this." So.
No, it's
Primer, everyone.
no, it's something I wish we had more.
Nathan's
of
favorite
around.
movie.
No,
One of them.
Primer.
Oh, Primer?
Well,
Was it called Primer?
I think so because
Is there
that's
a reason?
mathematical theorem.
Oh, okay.
A mathematical theorem is a primer.
Okay.
And I'm terrible at math, but I love movies about math and engineers. Because I have the mind of a poet and the soul of a whore, but I'll never be an engineer. So,
Did you ever watch that guy's like second movie? It was like upscale.
Upstream Color?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot more coherent, but equally as bizarre a movie.
Okay.
It was about a life form. Guys, I knew you were going to ask me about Upstream Color when I'm half in the bag.
I think you recommended it.
Yeah,
I never watched it.
It's if you like Shane Carruth movies, if you like Primer, you're gonna love Upstream Color. It's a little more less direct. It's instead of about people inventing this time machine and analyzing it to death like a bunch of engineers. Upstream Color is more about a life form that lives eternally between humans, pigs, and any other kind of mammal it can find to exist in, and it manipulates them and controls them, makes them do things, and it's weird, and it's a Shane Carruth